This is a build of my interpretation of a Detroit diesel two-stroke engine, like the 671s, 871s that were built for 60 years at least. Like I said, it's my interpretation of it. And here's where I am right now. I've got the bottom end built. Let's call this the bottom end, with the crank and a flywheel. I just love the shape of these flywheels. It's not true to the Detroit diesel, but I like it. And so that's what I made. This is the first part I made for this project. This is the head, the cylinder head. Everything above my hand is a cylinder head. And we'll look at that in a minute. And then here is the blower. It still needs some work. Intake, output from the blower. Anyway, let's look at these individually. Still need to build the middle section where the cylinder is, a cylinder liner, where the blower mounts and the air blows in, and the water jacket, and to connect the bottom end to the top end. So we're missing the middle of it right now. So I'm going to take a look at these parts individually. First, we're going to look at the bottom end. I'll call it the bottom end of the Detroit diesel. Made all these parts myself on manual machines, a lathe and a mill. No CNC involved in it at all, so I don't have one. You can see I've got the crank in here. It's a one-piece crank, but the counterweights are bolted on. Aluminum connecting rod, piston with the wrist pin. This purple piece is just a guide rod, so when I turn this, the piston will move up and down. Flywheel, got 1, 2, 3 bearings in it. Actually, it doesn't have any bearings right now. I have to get those. So this is just rolling in the aluminum blocks and the steel shaft. I will rebore those after I get the bearings. I'm just going to give this a little spin here so you can kind of see what happens. Here the counterweights are. I can adjust the weight on those after I do the calculations and some testing. 39mm bore, just about a 51mm stroke. You can see why I like the flywheel. It just has kind of a graceful look to it. You can see the crank working in the background there. And the piston moving up and down. Let's pull it around this way. Yep, so we're missing the entire middle section. And it will be from this point up to here, because the head mounts up here. So the engine, when it's finished, will be about, well, at least this tall, because everything from the round end here will fit above there. So let's see here. So anyway, you kind of get an idea of how tall it's going to be. And that is it for the bottom end. This is the head for the two-stroke Detroit diesel. Got 2 exhaust valves. No intake valve because it's a two-stroke. It'll have an intake ports around the cylinder liner. This is a small fuel tank right here. We've got the 2 exhaust valves. This is a unit injector in that it it pressurizes the fuel, it meters it, and injects it. There is a lever out here, and this will be connected to a governor when it's all done. It controls the fuel volume. You can watch what happens here. Okay, there's the injection stroke, and there'll be exhaust. In the middle of the exhaust, you're going to see an intake. There's no intake valves, but the intake will occur by way of the ports. So anyway, you can see these. Now, all these are roller rockers. They have rollers on the tips because of just to make it easier to operate, more efficient to operate. These two exhaust valves are canted at an angle so I can get better flow out. I don't have the holes drilled yet for the exhaust outlets to the stack. Let's see. Again, here is the lever to control the fuel all the way from nothing to way too much. The these two exhaust valves are on a single shaft that runs through here, through both of those. Push rods for them, adjustments. The unit injector takes a lot more force to operate it because it's compressing the fuel. Well, pressurizing the fuel. It runs on a single pin. It is on a bridge over top of the two exhaust valves. And you can see when it, get this here. There goes the injection stroke. See the cam, it's got a roller follower on it. Only on the injector because it takes so much more force compared to the two exhaust valves. Right now the injection cam is pinned to the shaft and the two exhaust valve cams are movable, adjustable if needed. This is a little low pressure fuel pump. This is a little fuel tank here. Pressurizes the fuel. I'm not sure what the pressure is, maybe 25, 50 psi, something like that. Output from the fuel pump into the injector. This copper line is the spill from the injector, goes back into the tank, so the excess is recirculated and pumped. This timing on the injection pump, or the low pressure pump, is such that you can watch. It's going in right at the same time that the injector is getting ready to inject. That makes sure that we've got plenty of fuel inside there for the injector. Let's look at roller lifter, flat tappet lifters. This plastic timing timing belt wheel is just on here had it for testing. Valves are underneath here, as is the injector. All of this will come off. This block is just for testing purposes. The guides for the lifters will be different. It'll be part of the missing section of the engine. But anyway, that's what we've got right now. And this part pretty much works. The gears, this will be driven off a gear from the crankshaft through a gear train at about 2.5 times the speed of the crank. They rotate towards the outside. The air comes in, goes around the outside. The rotors are made out of Teflon. And the reason is I tried making them out of aluminum, and it was extremely difficult to do. So I ended up with, to get the clearances proper. So I used Teflon. They're in flanged bearings, mounted in flanged bearings. And the bearings are in bearing pockets, which are machined slightly eccentric, so that I can take and rotate the pockets to adjust the clearance inside here to get the rotors to function properly with no interference with either the housing or themselves, with minimum clearance. If there's too much clearance, it just won't pump enough air. This is not made to build pressure. It maybe a couple psi of pressure. It's scavenging pressure. It's a positive displacement pump. When you see the roots blowers on drag cars, they're driven way, way overdrive, and they have been modified to build up pressure rather than just positive displacement. So that is it for the blower. So this is where we are now. A lot more to do. It's a journey, an incredible amount of work. It's all been a design build effort, not following any plans, and just kind of a concept, drawing my own design. And hopefully it will work in the end. So that's it. All of the parts for this Detroit diesel model 2-stroke engine were built with these 2 Grizzly manual machines. No CNC equipment was involved. I don't have any. Machines need a good cleanup now.